friends, Shay here. So I am here to talk to you about my favorite manga series that I have started in 2021. So in this video, I'm going to be going over a list of things that I read this year, that I started this year, that I am just madly in love with, cannot wait for the next volume on each and every one of these, and I want to share them with all of you. So if you haven't had a chance to read them yet, this might be something that you may have missed. There's so many series that release constantly that I always like to talk about my favorites so that people don't miss them. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first one we have here is The Girl with the Sampaku Eyes. There are currently 2 volumes of this one out. This is released by Denpa Publishing. In this one, we're following this young girl named Amane. She kind of has RBF and has a tough time making friends and having people understand her because really she is just a marshmallow. She has the biggest crush on the boy who sits next to her in class, and she wants nothing more than for him to notice her. And this is beyond sweet and cute. She blushes constantly. It also has a light wash of color through it, which is something that we don't see a lot in manga. So this one stands out for many reasons. It is just so sweet, like going to give you a toothache and diabetes along the way sweet. I highly recommend this one. It is one of my favorites I've picked up this year, obviously because it's in this list. These aren't in any particular order, but I just adore this. Please, please, please go pick this one up. The next one on the list is The Apothecary Diaries. The Apothecary Diaries is very much on the other side of shoujo manga. So this is a political fantasy centering on, I want to say it's Chinese mythology. Please correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sorry if I am. But anyways, this girl's named Mao Mao, and she is the daughter of an apothecary, and she's kind of been hiding as a lowly servant in the palace. And someone discovers what she is capable of and is trying to pull her into all of the politics that are going on. So it is absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait for more on this one. And there are currently 2 volumes out of this one as well. So believe me, when volume 3 comes out, you're going to hear me scream about it because her and this lovely man on the back, Jinshi, are starting to have a dynamic that's very enemies to lovers, and I am thriving on it. So if you like a more fantasy-based story, this is going to be a better pickup for you. Speaking of fantasy-based stories, we also have The King's Beast by Ray Toma. Technically, I read this one late last year, but I'm putting it in this list because it did not release until February. So in this one, we are in the same world as Dawn of the Arcana, if you're familiar with that series. So we have Ajin, which are like beast slaves to the humans. And in this one, we're following more of a Chinese mythology rather than a Japanese mythology. And in this one, we have Rangetsu. Rangetsu's brother was brought in as a servant to one of the princes in the royal house and was killed. And so Rangetsu swore revenge, gets back into the palace serving the same prince. And what Rangetsu doesn't know is that this prince has not taken on another beast servant until them. And this is so fantastic. It is very politically charged from the word go, as well as a revenge style plot. So this is one that's going to have a lot more meat than either of the other 2. Well, Apothecary Diaries is going to have quite a bit of meat too. So if you like political fantasy, you all know I love my political fantasy and my romances. That's primarily what I read. But this definitely falls on that political side, and it is so brilliant. I love it so much, and I cannot wait. Cannot wait for volume 3. Volume 2 was equally fantastic. Next is a really sweet, adorable romance that I picked up this year, and that is A Sign of Affection. In A Sign of Affection, we are following Yuki. She's a college student, and she is deaf. And so we're kind of following her life as she meets this young man. He is adept at learning languages, but he's never learned sign. So they keep running into each other just through mutual acquaintances, and they start to form a friendship. As the series continue, people begin to worry that this young man has made a friend of Yuki for reasons that Yuki doesn't understand. And so everybody's worried about them, but he is really so preciously sweet to her. And I know that there's going to be rough roads. They're in college, and emotions and what we want out of life continue to fluctuate at that age. So I'm really looking forward to how Sumo Ishida goes about this. Sumo Ishida, the mangaka, also did Shortcake Cake, which is another one of my favorites. You'll see it on another list coming up, but I absolutely adored this one. Highly recommend. The art in this one is worth it. It is so lovely. It's just the best, and I highly recommend. This one is also available on Kindle Unlimited, so if you aren't picking up a lot of physical manga, this is a great one to check out on KU. Next up is a series that I am now current on, and it is 12 volumes deep, and I started it this year, and that is Queen's Quality. Queen's Quality is the follow-up to QQ Sweeper, which I also loved and adored. This is by Kyosuke Motomi. And one of my favorite mangakas, they also did Dengeki Daisy and Beastmaster. In this one, we continue to follow Fumi and Q, and it's amazing. I love them. I love them so much. I really can't say too much about this particular series because it is a sequel to QQ Sweeper, but essentially we're continuing to follow their adventures as they go in and clean people's minds of the negativity. And it is so well done. The symbolism and the artistry of all of this is so amazing. So please pick up QQ Sweeper and then pick up Queen's Quality. It is a direct sequel and it doesn't really repeat itself. I do think you need QQ Sweeper to fully understand and appreciate Queen's Quality. You could dive into this one and not get too lost, but without the nuance of QQ Sweeper, a lot of the beginning of this series will be a little confusing. So with that said, let's move on. Okay, next up we have Yakuza Lover. Yakuza Lover is one of my smutty loves of this year, and I absolutely love and adore Yakuza Lover. In this one, we are following Yuri. Yuri is a college-age woman. She was at a party. She gets attacked because there's drugs going on and stuff, and this Yakuza boss basically comes in and breaks things up, and he catches her in the middle of fighting and defending herself, and he's thoroughly impressed with her, leaves his business card, and they start to form a romantic relationship. They get together very quickly, but we do spread a decent amount of time over the course of the volume. So they've been dating and doing each other for a while now, and it is so amazing. I love it. I love the way this comes across. It's not overly explicit, though it is sealed. Viz is a little more strict on what they seal compared to some other companies. So just do know that this is josei, not shoujo, meant for adults. So if you don't want your teenagers watching people blink, then don't let them pick this one up. But it is fantastic and I absolutely adore it. Next up, we have Those Not So Sweet Boys. This one's by Yoki Nogiri. This is the third series I've read from Yoki Nogiri, and it is by far my favorite thus far. There are currently 3 volumes out, and I'm madly in love with it. The dynamic of this one is different from her others, but she's also giving the story room to breathe because it's going to be a longer series, and it's definitely an improvement upon the others because I felt like the others were rushed. But in this one, we have these 3 boys who have kind of been branded delinquents outside of their own control. And from there, we have Midori. Midori is at school on scholarship, and she's not supposed to have a part-time job, but she does to help out at home. So when the president finds out, she's in trouble. So he's like, I won't turn you in and have you give up your scholarship if you can get these 3 delinquents to come back to school. They're not really delinquents, so as we get to know them, they're amazing. We love it so much. Anyways, highly, highly, highly recommend checking out Those Not So Sweet Boys if you haven't. I could not make this list without talking about the manga that is sweeping the romance community by storm, and that is Dick Fight Island. Between me and Dylan over at Dynamic Dylan, Izzy at Happy for Now, and Tamika at Library of Tomes, we have gotten so many of our romance friends to read this series, it's not even funny. So in this one, basically, it's an island where there are 8 clans, and every 4 years, each of the clans sends a warrior to fight in this tournament, essentially, to decide who the leader for the next 4 years is going to be. In doing so, they fight with their dicks, just as it seems, and the last one to come or not to reach his pleasure wins, and it's amazing. I can't say anything other than that. It's 1 volume so far. I'm really looking forward to volume 2, and yes, so it is bonkers, it is banana pants, it is exactly what you think it's going to be, and it's amazing. So that's all I need to say on this one. Go enjoy. Next up is a more serious series, and that is I Think Our Son is Gay. This one's by Okura? Yeah, Okura. And this is about a woman who's starting to see signs in her teenager that he might be gay. He has not come out to her openly, but he lets things slip, like wanting a boyfriend instead of a girlfriend and things like that. But he always immediately tries to go and correct himself. And he has a father who's not very supportive of this, but the mother's trying to bridge that gap between supporting what her husband wants, but also supporting her son who's just trying to be himself. And it's a beautiful journey so far. I'm really enjoying it. There's only the one volume out at this point. I'm really hoping we get volume 2 soon. This one comes out from Square Enix. Sometimes there are longer stretches between publishes, but I honestly think this is a really good look at what some parents have to deal with, where her husband travels a lot for work, and when he comes home, he says pretty hurtful things about people in the LGBT community, and so the son doesn't know how to react to that. I mean, the mom does her best, so I am hopeful that they're able to work through it. But yes, I am very excited to see how this progresses. Another one on the more serious side of things is Boys Run the Riot. This one's by Kitogaku. And in this one, we are following a trans teen who has to attend school in a girl's uniform because they have girl parts. And so they consider themselves male. And so they have a hard time. So they will purposely wreck their uniform on the way to school so they can wear the track uniform because that's more comfortable for them. But while they are out shopping, they run into one of their classmates who seems to have been held back a year or missed a year of school. So he's a year older than them, and they're in the same class, and they run into each other trying to pick up the same shirt at a store because they're both drawn to it. From there, they strive to form a fashion brand together. It's amazing, and the conversations about gender and all those kinds of things are really interesting already, and there's only one volume out, so I'm really looking forward to the continuation of this series. It's going to be very powerful. It's going to be very amazing. Let's go. And then last but not least is one that I am really anxiously awaiting volume 2, and that is Donuts Under a Crescent Moon. This is a Yuri title about 2 women who work in the same office, and our long-haired beauty here is just trying to do her best to her family, even though she has no inclination to be attracted to men. She is attracted to her senpai at work, and her senpai at work happens to be attracted to her as well. They share a beautiful moment under a crescent moon, hence the title, and this is all about them getting to know one another and getting to know their feelings for one another. It is beautiful so far. I cannot wait for more. I am so excited. This is one of my favorite Yuri I've picked up this year. And yes, so if you have not picked this one up yet, I do highly recommend picking it up. So with that said, those are my top 10 series that I've started in the year of 2021. Let me know in the comments down below what one of your favorites was, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.